What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, back with our Week 2 12-pack, Jets versus Titans. Little must-win Sunday. Going to give my predictions and thoughts on the game. Before I do, have to remind you guys how I have the energy to have, what do we have, 15, 16 posts on the feed this week? A little film room from Connor, 2 pods from the Flight Plan crew, new Buck to Trend from Dan, new TOJ Talks from Will, new other guys from Paul and Jake. Connor and I were War Room busy. We've been doing it with Magic Mind, who is the sponsor of Sunday Coffee and now of our 12-pack. I use it every single morning. I don't use it as a replacement for coffee. It goes very well with it. It's a nice little mental performance shot every morning. Quick, tastes good, put it right down. Doctors validated, over 200 scientific studies behind it. It's healthy. It's good for you. Mushrooms, organically grown in California. Highest possible grade matcha. Nano encapsulation technology, which sounds so smart. You know it has to help the brain out. Every time you buy, they donate 5 cents for each bottle to mental health charities that help the U.S. homeless communities. It's a 100% carbon neutral company. And there's no risk. They're so confident in what they've built that they will refund 100%, no questions asked, for up to 100 days after buying. If you are a Badlands subscriber, you have a limited time offer that you could use now that gets you up to 48% off your first subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase with code Badlands20 at checkout. I will put the link in the episode description. Thank you, Magic Mind. Jets Titans. So I don't think it's shocking the Jets lost week 1, right? I picked them to lose. I thought the game would be closer. I thought it'd be lower scoring, but I did think they'd lose. This game, different scenario. And I want to caveat that it's a hard travel schedule. It's not easy playing Monday night, flying back to East Rutherford, New Jersey, and then flying back to Nashville within 6 days, right? Tough travel schedule. The Titans, I don't think are going to be very good this year. They have the feel of a 5-6 win team. Even more so after how they lost week 1, where they lost to a quarterback who threw for 90 yards and blew a 17-point lead, had a punt blocked, had their quarterback throw a Bubby Brister interception. That being said, this isn't the Panthers. They are a pretty tough team, right? They could run the football. Tony Pollard looked like he had a little juice back, fully healthy now. Spears, a little shaky in the backfield. There's competent veterans in the receiver room. Calvin Ridley, a guy we've talked about a lot in this podcast. Tyler Boyd, a guy we talked a lot about in this podcast. DeAndre Hopkins, not quite himself, but will be out there. Will Levis, athletic, tough, very erratic. Some Zach Wilson shades in there. They're at home. Their defense, feisty. They're tough up front with Simmons. So it's not like a lay down game. And there's certainly a scenario where you can say, the Jets are tired after week 1. Titans are physical. They're going to look at that Niners tape. They're going to punch him in the mouth. They're going to run the football. They're going to keep Rodgers off the field and really talk yourself into this being a quintessential Jets letdown. It's like 13-3 going into the half. Pollard's ripping off 19-yard runs. I'm not going to choose to think like that in this game. And the reason I'm not is because I picked the Jets to win 10 or 11 games. I didn't give an exact number, but that's what I settled in the season preview guide, right? And I am not changing my perspective on that because they lost to the San Francisco 49ers and played a really bad 2.5 quarters. That's not reason to change that. If the Jets can't beat the Titans, they're not a 10 or 11 win team. They are an 8 or 9 win team. And we're going to be having some bigger, more difficult conversations. The path to the Jets winning double digits is them being 2-1 with 10 days to prepare for Bo Nix. That includes winning this game. So this is why you have Aaron Rodgers. We're not talking about Zach Wilson. We're not talking about Mike White. We're not talking about Sam Darnold. We're not talking about Joe Flacco. This is why you have Aaron Rodgers. When you have an elite Hall of Fame quarterback, he is the kind of guy that is supposed to ensure that you don't go 0-2 by losing as a 4-point favorite to a team that has one of the 5 worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. And even if your defense is a little sluggish, and even if you start slow on the road, and I think there's going to be plenty of Jet fans there, he is going to do what he did on those touchdown drives against the Niners. He's going to make something happen on third down. He's going to take advantage of a free play and throw a 40-yard touchdown to Allen Lazard and make him look like an NFL receiver again. And he's going to go out and put up 24, 27 points. And that should be enough for your defense against Will Levis. So I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk. I think the Jets are going to win. I think they're going to cover. And I'm saying that. Is that God telling me that I'm too confident, forcing me to sneeze after saying that? Because I have faith in the quarterback. I have faith in Garrett Wilson. I have faith in Breece Hall. I think AVT will be better in week 2. I think Simpson was pretty good in week 1, so they'll be our hold up in the interior. I think Tyron Smith will be better. Morgan Moses will be better. I'm not counting too much on anything from Hackett. I will say from a prediction perspective, I'm going to go Jets to win, Jets to cover, rather than just doing my normal Breece and Garrett Wilson. Always take the over on those guys, which you should. They're always going to be safe bets on the over, I would argue. They're always safe plays. Breece is always a safe play for any time touchdown, not Garrett yet. I'm going to look more towards the second tier of guys on the roster and the Jets kind of going out of their way to get them involved early after what happened last week. So Mike Williams, I think, plays 20 to 25 snaps this week after he was under his pitch count for week 1. I take him over 1.5 receptions. If you could get those odds somewhere, I wouldn't even hesitate to take him over 2.5 receptions. I think on the first drive, they're going to throw him a little hitch route, get him tackled, get him warm and in the game. I think they'll give him a couple gimme catches to get him in the rhythm. So I like Williams to grab 2 or 3 catches in this game. Braylon Allen, if you could get his total offensive yards or even rushing yards up into the 20s, I think they'll get some action for him. Maybe not quite as early in the game as Mike Williams, but I think he'll be a factor. In the first half, I think he'll be a factor in the game overall, especially if the Jets have a lead late. So I think Allen has about 30 total yards on offense in this game, maybe a touch higher. Xavier Gipson, who didn't have any targets or catches in week 1, I think he gets on the board with a couple catches this week. So those are the guys, those 3 that I'm looking at, where if you could get props or overs built around their touches, I would. I'm not ready to do that with Ruckert yet. I'm not sure if and when he's going to get involved in the pass game. Conklin was a big letdown last week. I'm sure they'll find a way to get him involved more, but I'm feeling scarred and burned after what happened. Defensive side of the ball, I think you look for your great players who didn't have a great game week 1 to bounce back. So I start with Quinnen Williams. I think if you could get Quinnen Williams to get a sack, that's one I'm grabbing. Jermaine Johnson, not quite a great player yet, but getting there. I think he gets a sack. I think the Jets get Levis down about 3 times and force 2 turnovers. I think Quinnen sack, Jermaine sack. Turnovers, I don't think Reed ultimately plays in this game. That ends up being Eccles. Eccles always kind of has a nose for the football. I'd keep an eye on him if he plays a lot for a potential interception. Tony Adams stinks, but I could see him falling into an interception with Will Levis. I say that gently. Maybe he doesn't stink, but he stink to date. Maybe he get a little better. So those are the guys I'm watching for turnovers. Our guy Zerline, we didn't see him at all last week. I think we're going to get a couple Zerline field goals. It feels to me like a 27-16 type win for the Jets. And Will may pick the same score, but we were texting about it today. We both were on the same page about it. That's what we were saying, is we were texting each other back and forth that the Jets have to win. The Jets better win. I can't deal with it if the Jets lose. I think they win by 10 or 11 points. I think it's dicey for a little bit there, and everyone's freaking out in the Discord, and everyone's freaking out on Twitter. But ultimately, I think they get it together. And that's me saying, this is why they got Aaron Rodgers. And me not, if I pick the Jets to lose this game, that's me saying they're an 8-win team. Maybe. I still think they're going to win 10 or 11 games. I think they're going to win this game. I think they're going to beat the Pats. I think the vibes will get back. We'll have 10 days to get it together for Bo Nix and then the London game against the Vikings. And the energy could shift around quickly. I have no faith in Hassan Reddick coming back. I bluntly don't want to talk about him because I pushed him out of my head as an entity that's related to the Jets. But in the vacuum of Sunday, I think they will distribute the ball much better than they did in week 1. I think the defense they'll give up some stuff in the run game, but they'll force some turnovers and they'll make some plays in this one. I think the Jets could win the special teams battle here against Tennessee, especially coming after what we saw from the Titans last week. And I think they get it done. And they win like 27-16, 27-17 overall. So Jets win, Jets to cover. Mike Williams reception over is one that I'm looking at. Braylon Allen yards over is one that I'm looking at. I always love Breece Hall anytime touchdown. I'd take that until it doesn't work. I also like Xavier Gipson getting on the board with a catch or 2. I like Quinnen Williams and Jermaine Johnson as guys to watch for sacks. And I like Eccles as a guy to watch to be involved with a turnover, especially if Reed is not 100%. Those are my picks. Connor and I will be back after the game with initial reaction. Jake and Paul will be on the field, on the feed, not on the field, Monday with another guys. And then we got a quick turnaround for Jets Patriots. And as a reminder, We got gear at badlandstoj.com. Don't be shy about buying a playoff beer shirts now because the Jets lost week 1. They got 2 home games upcoming. It's the perfect time to get them out to you in time. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Magic Mind. We will talk to you soon.